Good afternoon, guys. Surveillance and Undercover Assignments, Chapter 7. Surveillance. Surveillance is the designated or secret observation of places, persons, and vehicles for the purpose of obtaining information concerning the identities or activities of the subject. A. Types of surveillance. Covert surveillance. When the subject is not aware that he is being observed. Surveillance is covert if it is done in a way that tries to ensure the subject is unaware it is or could be taking place. Covert surveillance is divided into two categories, both of which are subject to the Covert Surveillance and Property Interference Code of Practice. Number 2. Overt surveillance. When the subject is aware that he is being tailed. Overt surveillance involves surveillance monitoring equipment that is intentionally placed so it is highly visible, fitted in plain view to deter criminal activity, provide a sense of security, and give people or business peace of mind. B. Purpose of surveillance. The purpose of surveillance is to provide the information for action, and such as the design of a surveillance system should be shaped by the information requirements, surveillance system outputs, of those responsible for taking the control and prevention action that is to be informed by the system. 1. To get information on criminal activities for the future raid. Number 2. To discover the identities of persons frequenting the place to establish their criminal activities. Number 3. To obtain evidence of a crime or to prevent the commission thereof by arrest or raid. Number 4. To establish legal grounds for the application of a search warrant. And lastly, to arrest the criminal in flagrante delicto. C. Other types of surveillance. Fixed surveillance, watching a house or building. In a fixed surveillance or stakeout, it is the subject who remains stationary. Thus, surveillant may move around for closer observation of the area or subject. Moving surveillance, on foot or by motor vehicle. Moving surveillance, foot, public conveyance, and auto with examples of each hardware used in moving surveillance, the concurrent use of moving and stationary surveillance, including the use of checkpointing, 5 factors to consider in pre-surveillance planning. D. Special methods of surveillance. Wiretapping. Telephone line is taped somewhere along the line, either in the street line or in the telephone company. The tape lines is run into a recorded, which is monitored by the investigator. Number 2. Concealed microphones. The microphone may be concealed in the room or may be disguised as a common subject such as disc ornament. The wire is run out to a nearby room where the conversation is recorded. Tape recorder. A pocket-sized tape recorded may be concealed when recording the conversation. Television. Closed-circuit system may be used so that the activities of the subject may be observed by the surveillant at a distance. E. Kinds of surveillance. Surveillance of places. Surveillance is the close observation of a person, place, or object. It is the practice of watching a subject in order to document the interactions or whereabouts of the subject. Tailing or shadowing is the monitoring of behavior without the target being made aware that they are being monitored. And tailing is a specific method of the following an individual or person to know and capture the activities in the form of photographs and videos. Undercover investigation or roping. Undercover assignment for form of investigation in which the investigator assumes a different and official identity or cover story in order to obtain information. Surveillance of place. These are the 3 surveillance of places. Objective of surveillance of place, type of place surveillance, and equipment to be used in surveillance of place. Shadowing or tailing. These are the 4 shadowing or tailing. Purpose of shadowing, the don'ts in shadowing, methods of foot surveillance, and tactics and techniques of shadowing. Undercover assignments. We are specialized in undertaking undercover assignments, and our undercover agents are well trained and qualified for this kind of work. We plant a person of confidence in most strategic positions or targeted establishment to keep posting developments of all activities among the workforce. A. Undercover assignment defined. Undercover assignment or roping is form of investigation in which the investigator assumes a different and official identity in order to obtain information. Undercover operation is an operation wherein the investigator assumes a fictitious identity in order to infiltrate the ranks of the criminals for the purpose of obtaining information. It is an investigative technique in which an agent conceals his identity in order to obtain information from the target organization. These are the 8 objectives of undercover work. First, obtaining evidence, obtaining information, checking informant, fixed surveillance, checking loyalty, subverse organizations, security check, and preliminary to search or raid. Selection of undercover work. Background. A good undercover man must be able to fit to the environment of his assignment. He must be able to suit his speech and line of thinking to that of his associates. His educational and technical background must rise to the required level. His conversation and knowledge of hobbies, sports, and general information should be in the particular stratum in which he will find himself. Temperament. Affable, enduring personality is required. He should have the necessary self-confidence to carry him through the more trying moments and the resourcefulness to adjust to change of plans or situations. Intellect. The undercover agent must above all the intelligent. He should have a clear view of the objective of the mission and the overall strategy that must be employed in its accomplishment. D. Common workplaces assigned for undercover work. Neighborhood assignment indicates which Stanford residents are available to you. Social assignment, frequent places visited by the subject. Organizational assignment, joins the group or syndicate. Work assignment, the works to be executed by the consultants detailed. These are the seven the preparation for assignments. Study the subject, knowledge of the area, subversive story, cover story, physical details, testing, and disclosure of identity. Golden rules of undercover agents. These are the 6. Don't drink while working as undercover. Don't court women. Don't take women on an undercover assignment. Don't claim to be a big shot. Don't fail to provide persons in the place who can vouch for the investigator. Don't spend too much money. G. Means to contract with headquarters. Telephone. Other than your personal phone. Read within report coded messages. Secret meetings. H. Infiltration operation. Infiltration involves gaining entry into criminal organizations that sell large amount of drugs. The intent of this kind of undercover operation is to buy a larger amounts of drugs in order to reach as high as possible into the organization hierarchy. Third, surveillant defined. The surveillant is the person who maintains the surveillance or performs the observations. Duties of surveillant in conducting surveillance. The surveillant should record all activities taking place in the establishment under surveillance. The time of arrival and departure of each person should be noted. Photographs and motion picture film footage should be numbered with reference of time. These are the 9 appearances of surveillant. Average size and height and build. Have no noticeable peculiarities in appearance or mannerism. Wear inconspicuous jewelry or clothing. Have nothing about him to attract the attention or fix him in the mind of a person. Have perseverance and be able to wait for hours at a time without showing any sign of impatience or irritation, since this attract attention. Always give the appearance of attending strictly to his own business and of not being interested in what anyone else may be doing. Be resourceful, versatile, and quick-witted so that he can readily conceive reasons or excuses for being in any given place. Be a good talker, able to talk in his way out of embarrassing situations without arousing suspicion. Have one or two good standard lines such as canvassing for the city directory or a trade publication or selling brushes or other articles. Have one or two good standard lines such as canvassing for the city directory or a trade publication or selling brushes or other articles. Subject defined. The subject is the person or place watched. Reactive and proactive methods of an investigation, Chapter 8. Types of criminal investigation. These are the reactive investigation and proactive investigation. Reactive investigation are the traditional manner in which police become involved in the investigation of crime. For proactive investigation or proactive strategies, which are the often covered in nature, usually involve the police initiating investigative activities prior to the occurrence of a crime. Proactive methods of investigation. Blending operations, stakeout operations, decoy operation, and interdiction operation. Crime scene search for Chapter 9. Gathering, recording, and preserving evidence in a crime scene is a necessary job in an investigation. Insufficient search or delay on the part of investigator in conducting the search could affect the result of investigation. Moreover, the investigator should also consider or give extra care in crime scene operation, since all the necessary evidence in connection of the crime are there. The evidences must be in possession by the time the suspect leave the scene until the investigator arrives therein. Furthermore, the investigator places himself at a spot where there are no physical evidence that will be tampered and counts and estimates and to what form of search will be employed. From there, he could determine the different angles and views to take the photographs of the scene. It also important that the evidence is properly collected, marked, tagged, and preserved. A. Crime scene defined. Is not merely the immediate area where a body is located or where assailant concentrated his activities, but also the place or retrieval of physical evidence, which includes the vehicles and its access and escape routes. Golden rule at the crime scene. Never touch or move any object at the crime scene unless properly photographed, measured, and indicate thus in the sketch. Assigned of duties. These are the officer in charge, assistant, photographer, sketcher, master note taker, evidenceman, and measurer. These are the 11 stages of a crime scene search. Approach scene, secure and protect, preliminary survey, narrative description, photograph the scene, sketch the scene, evaluation of latent fingerprint, evidence or physical evidence, detailed search, collection, recording, marking, and preservation of evidence. Final survey to ensure conditions of the crime scene have been documented as truly as possible. Release of scene. Standard methods of recording investigative data. These are the photographs, sketching crime scenes, written notes, developing and lifting fingerprints found at the crime scene, gathering physical evidence, tape recording of sounds, videotape recording of objects, and written statements of subjects and witnesses. Crime scene. Crime scene processing. In the process of crime scene investigation, this approach is not only common sense but also vital. The steps employed the adequately access any crime scene are quite basically to interview, examine, photograph, sketch, and process a crime scene. Processing a crime scene requires great attention to detail and nuance. Investigator notebook. The notebook is the investigator's personal reference for recording the investigation, the purpose, and the recording note. Common investigation oversights. Incomplete case folder, no template for the conduct of investigation, inadequacy of coordination, failure to prosecute, chain of custody, less appreciation of electronic evidence. General investigate procedures. A. Purpose procedures. Upon receipt of call walk-in complainants at the crime scene. If in if in serious condition, if not in serious condition, if the subject is arrested at the crime scene, other considerations. Duties of first officer at the crime scene, first reporter, investigation procedure at the crime scene. And police line defined, chalk line, release of crime, importance of search in crime scene, points to remember in crime scene search, how to send evidence to the laboratory, preserving and protecting the crime scene means, and lastly, standard CSI forms. And thank you.